Okay, so we were at this point. So we have seen the types of developers, and we have so solo developer is simple. You just push and pull, okay, because there is no one else to mess up the things. So you just simply work on the master. There is no one to control you, right? So you are the master of everything, and you can, whenever you want, you can commit, whenever you want, you can push. Okay, so there is no restriction. Then the second one, we have seen trusted team developers, where all your team members are trusted and they have equal rights. So they will commit and push whenever they want. But only thing you have to take care is whenever you do the push, at that time, first you have to pull, check whether there is any conflict. If there is a conflict, resolve the conflict, and then commit and then push. Okay, so that is trusted team developers. Now the other two, I don't think we have time to cover other two. If you would like to see how other two work, that is untrusted team developers and open source developers. So if you want to see uh, how this can be done, then in today's feedback, you just let me know whether you want to see a demo of these two principles. Okay, but for your mini project, you will be requiring only the second one. Okay, so and if you're working on a solo project, probably you will be working on a solo project. If you're doing something alone, then the first one will be required. If you are working on a mini project, let's say three members are there, so then in that case, second method, that is trusted team developers, so that can be used. Okay, so third and fourth, third is actually used by companies where the members cannot be given directly access to the repository. Okay, so if that is what you need, then that is the third one. And fourth one is whenever you want to contribute to open source projects, so their forking method comes into picture. Okay, so just let me know in today's feedback that you want to learn this or not. Okay, so let's move on. So that finishes with the collaboration part. Now there are certain other features. So before today, we are going to start with Jira, right? So before I start with Jira, I just want to show you some other features that are there in GitHub that are very wonderful features, and you should know about it. Okay, so let's open GitHub. So the first one, so let's go to any of our repositories. So let's say workshop. Okay, so in this repository, we have seen the code tab. So there are lots of tabs, right? So we have seen the code tab. So code tab is where you will see all your code. So in this particular code tab also, you will see you have an option to create a file. Okay, so let's say you don't want to clone the repository yourself. You just want to directly create a file. Okay, so just to create one file, you don't have to clone the entire repository, then do git commit and then push it. No, not required. You can directly do it over here. The same thing will be done over here also. Here also you will have to commit the file. Okay, so that option is there. So if you already have files, you can even upload it over here. That option is also there, right? Then other than that, you can see, you can switch the branches. So let's say you have multiple branches on your repository. So from here, from drop down, so right now I have only one branch, that is master. If you have multiple branches, those branches will be shown over here. Okay, and here also it will show how many branches are there, right? Now some other features, I will tell you about tags a little later. What are tags? Okay, so let's move on to something that I would like to show you is issues. So issues is something, it can be anything. Let's say it can be a feature request, it can be a bug. Okay, so somebody, one of the developers is using the software and they realize that certain feature is not working, so they can create a new issue and say this is a bug, please resolve it, right? So this is just a place where you note down the problems or the features. So let's say you have a college management system and you want to implement payment gateway. So you will say, I need a new feature, this, right? So this is just to keep a track of what all things I have to do, right? So this is basically issues. So this is where you can create your issue. Okay, so let me show you how to create a new issue. So just click on issue, right? And here you just have to write the title of the issue. uh, Need a payment gateway for fees payment. Okay. So simple, any feature, so whatever you want. Okay, so at this particular on the right side, so here you can give further details. So what exactly you are expecting. So let's say I want payment gateway uh, from Paytm. Okay, so please implement Paytm gateway, something like that. Okay, so you can describe what is the need, or if you find a bug in the software, you can describe what is the bug. Okay, so all those things that can be done. And you can even attach images if possible, right? So you can add that. Well, obviously you have to host it somewhere else and give a link over here. But what you have to do here is you can click on labels and you can say what type of thing this is. Okay, so is it an enhancement, like is it a new feature you're requesting, or is it a bug or something else, right? So you can say, for example, this is a feature. Okay, so I would like to say this is an enhancement. So this I have added, and you can submit an issue. Okay, so this issue has been created. So you can see automatically GitHub provides you an issue number, right? So whenever you do commits, when you write the commit message, at that time also, if you are solving this particular issue, or if you are solving this particular feature, then what you do is in the commit you can simply say resolved issue number 1 or fixed issue number 1, right? So in the commit message, if you write something like this, then automatically your commit will be linked to this issue. Okay, so that linking will be done automatically by GitHub. So these features are there. And the reason why issues are very important is because mainly if you work on open source projects, like let's say I have a package which is open source. So people try to use my software and people will find out that this feature is missing, or this feature is bugged, or there is some problem with the feature, right? So as soon as they find it, they will come to the issue tab and they will submit a issue. So then as a developer, so I am the core developer of that particular package. So I will look at the issue. I will find out what is the actual problem, why it is being caused. Then I will try to do the modification in code and resolve it. And once the issue is resolved, I will say, so this is my from my interface. Now here I have only created the issue and I am only solving it. Usually what happens is our users will create the issue and we will be solving it. Okay, so let's say fixed issue number 1, right? So I just said fixed issue number 1. Okay, so close with comment. You can either just comment. So if you just comment, it means the issue is still open. So when it is still open, it will show here 1. Okay, so this 1 means one issue is still pending, right? If you do close with comment, that means this issue will be commented and closed. That means you have fixed it, right? So done. So now this issue is closed. And now if I refresh, you will see all the issues are resolved. You can see there are no open issues, right? So this is what will happen if you once you start working on open source projects. So people will start giving you feature request or bug reporting. So all these things will be done, and as a developer you will have to resolve those. Okay, well, it is not mandatory, but keep your package or keep your library active. If you do it as soon as possible, your package gets more popular. Okay, so this is one. Now pull request is something uh, that we will try to do it in Jira also. So I will cover that at that time. This is more related to, when you restrict the third type of developer. Okay, so third type of developer uses pull requests to do the stuff. Okay, and this is, if you have heard about uh, uh, CI/CD, or basically continuous integration and continuous development. Basically, it is related to automation, where you know uh, continuous deployment. Okay, as soon as your code is ready, it is also deployed to the server. Okay, if that is what you want, you can set up some actions to deploy your software directly to your server once the software is ready. So all these things can be done. So this is a bit advanced DevOps related things. I hope you must have heard about DevOps. So this is related to that. And the fifth tab is project management. So GitHub also has a project management feature where you can create projects. So let me show you quickly one project. So let me create a project. So let's say workshop. Okay, and in the template you can select the Kanban, automated Kanban. Okay, so this is like I will show you what this is, automated Kanban, how it looks. So once I create the project, so this is how Kanban projects looks like. Okay, so let me just delete everything. So GitHub creates a few, but I don't need it. So this is how your things look like. So there is a to do, in progress, and done. So basically what you how do you use this is, you just click over here and you can write what you want to do, okay, in the project. So you list out all the things. Let's say um, make login page. Okay, so add, and then make reset password, add. Okay, so I have added two tasks for to do. So this is what is pending. So when I want to do, when I want to start working on it, I will just drag it and put it over here. Okay, so this means that I have started working on reset password concept. Okay, or basically I'm working on this. Once after 2-3 days, once this is over, I will move this to done. Okay, now this process that I've done, so moving from to do to progress to done, can be automated. But I'm not showing you all those things because we are not using this, because this has a very limited use case. So what we are going to use is a software called Jira. Okay, so today we'll be starting with that. Now before starting with Jira, I would like to show you one very nice feature about what do you say, GitHub. Okay, so if using GitHub, so that is my next slide, I suppose. So GitHub project is done. Yeah, so GitHub pages. So the last thing that I would like to show is GitHub pages. So if you ever want to host a website, a static website. So static website, by static website, I mean your HTML and CSS and maybe JavaScript. Okay, so these three codes only. There should be no PHP, no Python, no Java, or etc. etc. Okay, so it should be purely static website. So if you want to ever host your static for free, so you can use GitHub for that. Okay, so I will quickly show you how you can do that. So let me go to code.google.com. So you can see I have a, so only thing you should care is that in your repository, you should have an index.html file. Okay, so if you have that, then you can use that to host your own website. Okay, so let me quickly, I think I don't have any content. So I'm not going to go and clone, sorry, I'm going not using Visual Studio Code today. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can edit the file directly in GitHub itself. Okay, so if you open the file, you will see that there is a edit this file button over here. You just click on that. So let me just zoom in a little. So if I click over here, it opens this, and here I will say let's say. So obviously it is not as good as Visual Studio Code, because there is no highlighting or anything, nothing is there, right? So but still, this is a quick way of okay. So I have created a simple this thing. So let's see. Okay, so I have added two things, heading tag and a paragraph. That's it. Now let's come down and commit. So here I've just written updated the index file, commit changes, and done. So now my page is updated. Everything is perfect. Okay. So now, so till now there is your website is not hosted. It is just a code. So if you look at this, it is just a normal page, a normal code, right? But to host this as a website, you just have to go to settings, and if you come down, you will see pages, right? So go to pages, and here you have to select which branch your code is. Okay. So whichever branch has that index.html file, that you select. Okay. So I will select the master, and which folder exactly do you want to host. So if, so I have kept it in the root folder itself, that is the main folder. So I'm selecting root. If it is inside any subfolder, so usually you can say docs. Okay. So for, if you want to host only the documentation of your project, then you can say /docs, something like that. Okay. But here I am in my root folder only. I will click save, and you will see that my, it says your site is published at this particular address. Okay. It may take a little while to get published. Okay. So immediately if I open, it may happen that it will not open directly. Okay. See, so it doesn't work right now. So it takes a little time to update. So we will keep it as it is for the time being and come back after a while, and I will show you that the page is deployed. Okay. So actually the thing is github.com, and the site where it is deployed is github.io, right? So these are two different servers. So it takes a little time to, publish the content. So we will just wait till that time. We will start with the next topic. So this is the last topic that I would like to cover in GitHub. So any doubts still here?
Sir, one question in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I found a utility tool on GitHub called Windows 10 debloater. It basically removes bloatware. Windows comes pre-installed with, but it's a PowerShell script. Till now, we were using CMD prompt. What is PowerShell used for? Shall I repeat?
No. Okay, so CMD, if you all those who know DOS operating system, so CMD is just a port of DOS. So CMD was never updated. Okay, so slight updates were there, but it was never actually updated, and it had lots of limitation. So PowerShell was released by Windows, which has much more, because see, when you have so many operating systems which are much more powerful, like if you look at the Linux terminal, so it is so powerful, it can do so many things, but at the same time CMD has very lots of limitations, right? But PowerShell is completely different. So whatever you are doing right now on your computer, that is through your UI, everything can be done through PowerShell. So if you know PowerShell scripting properly, you can actually do all the automation. Okay. So let's say whenever your PC starts, you want to do certain things, and then the PC should start. Okay. So anything you want, you can do it with the help of PowerShell. So it is a bit advanced version of command prompt. That is what I can say. Any other questions, ma'am?
No, sir.
Okay. So let's move on to today's topic. Okay. So we will start with Jira. Okay. So start with Jira. First, you should understand a little bit of theory behind why we use Jira. Because if I directly tell you how to use Jira, you will not understand a thing, right? So there are a lot of project management related concepts, and if you have wisely selected your what do you say, institute level elective, so there is a subject called project management, right? So there you will be learning in much more detail what are the different techniques of project management and all those things. Okay. So basically the idea behind project management is, obviously you can make, so this is not related to only software. It is any type of project. It may be constructing a building, it may be constructing a bridge, it may be developing a train, it may be anything. Okay. So any type of a project has to be done using a proper mechanism, otherwise it doesn't complete on time. So usually what I've seen in what students do is they don't do any planning at all, and at the end the works start piling up, and at the end they just quit. So I can't do the project, right? So that is what uh, they normally do, right? So instead of that, if you pre-plan your project properly, and if you continuously keep a check what is going on, or what is how to proceed to complete your project, then that will be called as proper project management skill. Okay. So basically the idea here is to see to it that you lay out a proper format in which you will complete the project. And there are two things that are most important: the quality of the product that you generate. Okay. So at the end, when you do not have time, you have not properly planned your project, कैसे भी करके कुछ भी करके बना के दे देते, right? So that is what happens when you do not properly plan your project. Second, the quality is degraded. There is no time management, right? So to handle all these things, there has to be a proper project management done by each and every one, so that your project completes on time and with quality. And this is done in all the industry. You go in any industry, any software industry, or in fact any process management industry, you will see that there is some kind of a project management going on, and you will be part of that. Whether you want it or not, you will be a part of it, right? So let's look at two popular methodology. Okay. So one is the waterfall method and another is the agile method, right? So the waterfall method is what is traditionally used. So there are lots of methods. Okay. So this is not the only two methods. There are lots of methods, but I am concentrating more on software related projects, right? So that's why these are the two popular ones. So traditionally waterfall is what is used. So waterfall, what is happening in waterfall is you get the requirements from your customer. So what all things they need. Okay. So like for example, एक कोई भी project उठा लो, उसमें क्या क्या चाहिए, right? So that requirements is done. Then a basic design is a particular design is done. Then the team starts developing the project, that is implementation part. Then a team starts testing it. Okay. So testing and verification is done at that stage. And finally, then once all these stages are done, then only thing left is to maintain. So there are small bugs, resolve it, small features needs to be added, do it. Okay. So like that. Now this particular problem, this particular methodology has a big drawback. The drawback is, so the customer is at the top. That means requirements. So at the time of requirements, you ask the customer what do you want, right? Now, during the design stage, there is no customer involved. During the implementation stage, there is no customer involved. Verification stage, maybe koi customer nahi. And only during the final stage, or basically there is one more stage called deployment. So just before deployment, you bring the customer into picture and show them the product ki ye banaya hai, right? Now you tell me whether it is right or wrong. So now what happens is he may be happy, he may not be happy, it depends, right? Now what happens over here is, here first you don't know exactly how much time it will take to complete the project, right? Because you are completing the entire project at one go. Second, the customer is not involved anywhere except for the first and the last stage. So what happens is, let's say you design a form and the customer doesn't like the design of the form, right? So at the end, after designing all the forms, if you're asking that how is the form, it doesn't make any sense, right? So after designing the first form itself, you should have asked how the form is, right? So how the look, and is it okay, or so like that. So that is not there in waterfall method. So the waterfall method fails over there. So that is where all the companies, in fact, more than 80% of the companies, software companies especially, use agile framework nowadays. So what is agile? Agile is not a single process. Okay, so you, instead of completing the entire process, they divide the entire project into small parts, and they complete that part. And the best part is they will deploy it directly. Okay, they will deploy it and show it to the user that this is what we have made. Is it okay? If it is not, then immediately whatever correction is needed, that is completed, right? So it is like a continuous process. It is not like you start the project, सब कुछ खत्म होने के बाद ही मैं आपको project दिखाऊंगा, ऐसा नहीं है. That is not, that is waterfall. So in agile, what happens is you divide the project into small parts, complete one part, show it to the customer, then start the next part. So it is possible that you are starting with multiple small parts together. It is possible, but the point here is you have to show, or basically you have to work in small parts. Okay, so let us look at the things. So there is a planning phase, design, develop, test, deploy, and then the review process, and finally the launch. Okay, so let's look at why agile. Okay, why agile and why not waterfall? So you can see in agile, it is a continuous process. So we are continuously doing analyzing, planning, design, build, test, review. After, so this is for one small part. Okay, so this is not completing the entire project. It is just completing the small part. Then immediately I go to the next part. Then I go to the next part. Okay, so the time taken is also less, right? Because see, we are working on small parts, and it is not like the customer has to check all the things at one go. Every part the customer is checking. So there is something called as customer satisfaction. So when you show the entire project at once, the customer may get bored, right? So when you show small parts, he is also happy that okay, some work is going on. See, what happens is when a customer comes to you and tells you, build this for me, build this software for me, right? So you say, I will need 6 months. वो 6 months में आप एक्चुअली में क्या काम कर रहे हो वो उसको नहीं मालूम, right? So he is expecting after 6 months you will give me the project, right? But he is like blind. He doesn't know what is happening. Are you really working on my project? Or so nothing is happening in waterfall. But in agile, what happens is after every, let's say 2-3 weeks, you are showing the customer something. So customer is also happy. So they are thinking that yes, the person is doing some my work, right? So they are also happy. So customer satisfaction is there. So that's why everybody uses agile over waterfall. And agile uses something called as a Scrum framework. So I will show you what is a Scrum framework a little later. So workflow.
These all things are of Jira, na?
No, Jira is just a software. This is the framework. Okay.
Sir, what is Jira?
हाँ मैं आ रहा हूँ, उधर आ रहा हूँ. I will come to that place. Okay, so just wait. So Jira अभी तक पहुंचा नहीं है, उससे पहले थोड़ा theory cover कर लेते, right? Now, what is a workflow? So now workflow मैंने अभी GitHub में भी project management बताया. So workflow is nothing but whenever you take any task, the task will belong to any particular category. Okay, so either the task is not yet started, or the task is under work, or the task is completed. So this is just a basic workflow in your so it depends on company to company. Okay, so many companies have different workflows. So to do के बाद in progress के बाद code review, फिर code review के बाद हो सकता है testing. Okay, so testing या code review कोई भी एक, मतलब जो भी है हर एक का अलग अलग रहता है, right? So every company has their own workflow, but the basic and the simplest workflow is this. So there is to do, in progress, done. So to do is whatever is pending, in progress whatever is going on, done is whatever is completed. Okay, so this is the basic. So this is how we are going to set up in our Jira software, right? Now you can set up complex workflows in Jira, but we will not go in that detail because that will be too complex to set up our own workflows. Okay, so initially एक दिन में पूरा सीखना possible नहीं है, right? So let's look at the next thing. So this has nothing to do with Jira right now. Okay, so this is in general, and when I start doing Jira, so at that time you should not say, sir, what is epics, what is stories, right? So वो सब नहीं आना चाहिए, इसके लिए मैं पहले वो बता रहा हूँ कि क्या है ये सब, right? So first I have shown you what is a workflow. So workflow is basically the flow in which the tasks are getting completed. So पहले जो भी आप task लोगे वो to do में जाएगा, वहां से in progress में जाएगा जब when you start working on it, then done once you finish the work. Okay, then now how to, so once you know the workflow, now the point is you have to put the task, or you have to design the task. Okay, so if you remember, I have told everyone that you prepare your Gantt charts, right? So this was the purpose, so that you can start working on epics and stories, right? So now let me tell you what is epics and what is stories, right? So epics, so basically whenever I take a big project, so in Agile, you have to first divide it into small modules first. Okay, the modules must be such that it is independent. It should not be dependent, completely dependent on something, but it should be independent, right? Like for example, कॉलेज मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम मैंने पकड़ा, ठीक है, ये मुझे बनाना है, ये दिस इज माय प्रोजेक्ट. सो इन दैट देयर विल बी अ यूजर मैनेजमेंट, जैसे कि लॉगिन, रजिस्टर, पासवर्ड रिसेट, राइट? सो ऑल दिस इज अंडर कमिंग अंडर user management. So user management will be my epic. So epic is basically a group of tasks which forms a complete module, right? Second epic can be admission forms, right? So another epic will be admission forms. So admission forms में अंदर बहुत कुछ हो सकता है, ठीक है? To fill the admission form, to view the admission form, फिर download the admission form, for payment के लिए, right? So all this, so the admission form is your epic. Okay, now inside the epic you will have stories. So what is a stories? Stories is what the user wants inside that module. Like for example, अगर epic है user management, तो उसके stories क्या क्या रहेंगे? User needs a registration form, user needs a login form, user needs a form to reset password, right? So these will be the stories. Okay, so these things should be written in such a way that the developer understands what is needed, right? And after that, the third thing that is required is task and subtask. So now when you have a story, like for example, user needs a registration form. Okay, so when you say user needs a registration form, can I directly just make a registration form? No, I need to have a database, I need to have an HTML form, I need to have a CSS, right? Then it has to be connected. I need to have a PHP code which connects the database to the, so all these things are there. So every story will have subtask, okay, task or subtask. So this is the hierarchy. So first you will have epics. Inside that you will have many stories, and each stories will have task or subtask. Okay. So is this part clear? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
So now let's move on to the most important part, that is the roles. Okay. So as I told you, Agile uses Scrum framework. So Scrum framework has three major roles. Okay, there are minor roles also, but that we are not considering. But there are three major roles. Now, what are roles? Roles is basically just members, team members. Okay, so there is a Scrum team. Scrum team is basically a group of people. They are working on a project. So what here is important is there are three types of people. One is the product owner, one is the Scrum master, and third is the development team. So now who is the product owner? So product owner is basically a person who understands the customer. Now, obviously, product owner does not mean that he owns the product. Okay, so this is basically a representative of the customer, because customer may not know how to use the software, right? Or he may not be in the company, right? So this is a person who he has direct interaction with the customer, right? Like for example, if I am building a software for a particular person, right, or particular friend, then I am in direct contact with him, then I am the product owner, right? So I will be the product owner because I can he has explained me what he needs, so I know everything about the product. So he is called the product owner. Now the development team, so development team is the core over here. So these are the people who are actually writing the code. Okay, so product owner only lists the what are the epics and what are the stories that are required. Okay, so product owner का इतना ही काम है कि क्या क्या चाहिए, right? He will just list out what all things are needed. And developer team is the one who actually writes code to complete that particular project, right? And there is another person who is called the Scrum master. So Scrum master is a very important role, and in fact if you look at job profiles, job listings by different companies, you will see Scrum master is a completely different role. And there are always job openings for Scrum master. So मतलब अगर आप programmer नहीं हो, full blown programmer नहीं हो, but you can still be a Scrum master, right? So Scrum master is like, you know, person who keeps a check on whether everything is going proper or not, right? So is the development team properly using the principles of Scrum, or are they properly working on Agile? And he is basically like a monitor of the class, right? He is monitoring you, basically a development team. Okay, so let's look at the Scrum framework now. So I have told you Agile uses Scrum framework, right? So now let us look at how exactly the Scrum works. Okay, so now these terms are very important, because when I start using Jira, at that time it will just go bouncer. What are all these things, right? So all this terms is very important, right? So the first term that I would like to show you is the backlog. Okay, so the first term is the backlog. Now what is the backlog? Backlog is where the product owner starts putting the epics and stories. Okay, so he will divide. So basically it is not a solo task, obviously. So it is basically a group task. There are different meetings. So the meetings are done, and based on that, with the customer, obviously meetings are done, and the product owner finds out what all things the user needs, and based on that he creates the epics and the user stories, right? So once that is done, that will be called as a product backlog. Okay, so this has to be designed first. After that, every 4 weeks, okay, so a sprint is nothing but it's a duration, basically. Okay, it's a duration of 1 to 4 weeks. Okay, so a sprint is nothing but it's like one cycle. So in the beginning, I have shown you one agile cycle. So that cycle is called a sprint. Okay. So one sprint can be of 1 week or 2, 3, or 4 weeks. It depends on how complex your project is. Okay. And how much time it is going to take. Usually it is of 1 week. So you divide the project into small parts, and you only do that much that the project is can be divided into small parts, right? So the first step is before the sprint starts. Okay, so if today I want to start the sprint, I will do a sprint planning meeting. Okay, so sprint planning meeting is between the product owner, the scrum master, and the development team. So they all sit together. It is around 30 minutes, 40 minutes, jitna bhi chalega. And in that they will decide in today's sprint. Okay, that means in this week's sprint, what all task can I complete. Okay, so backlog में से कुछ task उठाते और बोलते कि ये मैं complete करूंगा ये week में. So that is called as a sprint planning. So now from there a sprint backlog is created. So how to create this backlog, I will show it to you in Jira, right? So once this backlog is created, then continuously every day in the beginning. So this I am talking about what happens in the industry. Okay, so it need not exactly happen in our college also or with you also. So but I'm explaining you how it happens in the industry. So after the sprint planning is over, every day at the beginning, that means in the morning 15 minutes, there is called something called as a daily scrum meeting, right? So in this scrum meeting they will decide कि आज मुझे क्या करना है और कल मैंने क्या किया था, right? So this is done, and after that they start working on the project. So this happens daily, and after the week is over, that means the sprint time is over, they will have a review meeting कि किसने कितना काम किया, and अगर कोई जॉब बच गया है तो it is sent back to the backlog. ओके मतलब स्प्रिंट में समझो 5 टास्क करना है ऐसा बोला था, बट बहुत डिफिकल्ट था, 4 ही हो पाए. ओके, सो एट द एंड ऑफ द साइकिल ओनली 4 कंप्लीटेड, so that one that is remaining, it goes back into the backlog, right? So in the next sprint it is again added to the sprint backlog. Okay, so this is the entire process of Scrum framework. Okay, so this keeps on happening continuously every week till your product is released. Okay, so is it clear what a Scrum framework is?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, can you explain that epic stories and task part again?
Yes. So epic stories and tasks. So whenever you get a project, you have to first, so in case of waterfall, you will directly start working on the project, right? You divide the task and work on the project. But agile में ऐसा नहीं करते. Agile में क्या करते? Project जैसे ही हाथ में आएगा, we will divide the project into small parts. Okay, so how to divide it, that is where your skill lies. That is where the product owner's skill lies, right? So you have to divide it in such a way that each part becomes an individual part. Okay, so it should not be too much dependent on other parts. Okay, so मतलब ऐसा पार्ट होना चाहिए जो मैं अकेले रिलीज कर सकूं, राइट? मतलब वो मैं रिलीज कर दूंगा तो सॉफ्टवेयर चालू होना चाहिए, राइट? सो लाइक ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि जैसे एडमिशन फॉर्म बना, मैंने सिर्फ फॉर्म बना के रख दिया, उसका ना एंट्री होता है ना कुछ होता है, राइट? सो देन दैट इज नॉट एन एपिक. Epic means that particular module should be completely working, right? Like for example, user registration module. So user registration and login module, ऐसा समझो, user management module है. So in that case, you need to have a registration form, you need to have a login form, and you need to have a reset password form. अगर ये तीनों बन गया और database भी आपका link हो गया, then that epic will be over, right? So that is how you divide the epic. And वो epic के अंदर क्या क्या रहेगा, that will be stories, right? So I will show you a actual demo when we go to Jira Software. Okay, so there is a small video I think you can see it. Do you want to see it, or should I go to the demo directly?
The demo.
Okay, so I will stop the share.
There is one question that the Scrum and the project manager are both the same profile that is mentioned over here.
Okay, so Scrum Master is actually should be a separate person. It should not be from the development team, because see, it's like अगर समझो इनकम टैक्स ऑफिसर ही अगर पुलिस वाला रहा ऐसा, राइट? सो वो चीज नहीं होना चाहिए, राइट? सो इट शुड बी समथिंग someone other than the development team, Scrum Master. But product owner can be one of the member of the development team. Okay, so ऐसा हो सकता है कि development team में से ही एक बंदा product owner रहेगा, right? But for in our case, because we if you are going to work on this, then obviously there is no Scrum Master, right? So usually companies में अलग से Scrum Master होते, right, who are actually looking at everything. But in our case, there may be no Scrum Master. So one of the development team member itself will be, so maybe the group leader is the Scrum Master. Okay, it should not be like that, but अभी अपने पास ऑप्शन नहीं है तो हम लोग को ऐसा करना पड़ेगा, राइट? बट यूजुअली इन कंपनीज डेवलपमेंट टीम इज नेवर अ स्क्रम मास्टर. ओके, प्रोडक्ट ओनर कैन बी अ स्क्रम मास्टर. Okay, so now let's move on to the Jira software. So now Jira software is just a software for project management. Okay, so it is not the only software. There are many such softwares. I will show you few of them. Okay, so there is something called as Asana, right? So this is also a project management software. Then there is a very popular Trello. Trello is a project management software which is also from Altazian only. So this is Trello. Then like that there are many. In fact, GitHub projects is also a good project management, but it is Kanban based. Okay, so it is slightly different. So but Jira is very famous. Okay, Jira is in fact the industry standard to whenever they want to do project management. Now obviously we don't have the paid package, so we will not have all the features of Jira, but at least we can have a basic look at what all features Jira provides, right? So let's look at the features. So first of all, Jira is provided by Atlassian. Okay, so this is the company which provides Jira, right? So let me just copy the link and open it. So this is Jira. Sorry, this is not Jira, this is Atlassian, right? Inside Atlassian, if you go to products, you will see all the products that Atlassian provides. Okay, so one of them is Bitbucket. So this is my favorite. I use it a lot. And you can see Trello is also there. This is also a project management. So, but this doesn't have the things that I need. So I will show you what all things are there in Jira. Okay, now Jira is what we want, right? So if I click on Jira, so you can start. If you go to pricing, you can see it is actually free for 10 users. So if you're a small team, then it is absolutely free. Okay, so obviously because in your case you will be having only 4 to 5 members max, right? So this will be absolutely free of cost, right? So we don't have to worry. So you just click on start, get started, right? So as soon as I click on get started, it should ask you this thing, right? So after it asks you for this, you have to provide your email address. Any email address will do. It need not be college email ID only, but anything will do. And here you have to provide your subdomain that you want with Atlassian. Okay, so all your products will be from this domain only. Okay, so you can decide which subdomain you want. You can decide anything. After doing that, there will be a verification email. Okay, and after completing that verification email, your Jira account will be created free of cost. Okay, so all those who are doing it, they can do it simultaneously. And if you get stuck anywhere, you can ask me. Okay, now I have already created my account, so I will simply go. I am already logged in actually, so I can simply go to my profile. Okay, sorry, मैं कहाँ पे आ गया? Okay, so from here I can go to whichever software I want, right? So from here you can see this is a Jira software that I have, and I also have Bitbucket with me, right? And Trello भी मैंने लेके रखा है, right? So now let me go to the Jira software. Okay, this is my Jira software, right? So this is my project interface. So this is basically what is Jira, right? So let me click over here. This is how it will look. So because I am already tested it a little bit, this is not my actual account. This I have just created with the college email ID. My actual account is different because there are so many repositories. कचरा हो जाता है, इसके लिए मैंने वो use नहीं किया. So this I have just created to show a demo. Okay, so let's begin. So the first thing that you do is click on projects. Okay, so first thing that you do is click on projects, and so I already have 2 projects set up, but I will start with a new project. Let's say create project, right? So as soon as you do that, it asks me which type of project do you want to do. So do you want to do Kanban project? So Kanban project is nothing but the type of project that we saw in GitHub projects, right? So GitHub में जो type का था वो same अगर आपको करना है तो ये use करो. But if you want to do Agile, you have to use Scrum framework, right? So that's why I will select this one, right? So it shows you basically what is a Scrum and all those things. So this is fine. So now click on use template. Okay. Now after that, there are 2 options. So if you are a small team working on a bigger project, then and you are managed by a company, then you can select the second option, that is this one. But if you are an individual project, okay, so you are the sole project master, okay, or Scrum master, you can select team managed project, right? So this is the next step. So once this is done, now here I am ready to create my project. So you can see what all things are selected. So first is template is Scrum, type is team manage. Okay, now I can give a name to the project. Let's call it college management ही बनाते हैं. Okay, college management system. Below that, it also gives you a key. So this key is important when you push commits. So you have to mention that key. So I will show it to you later. Okay, so you can select any key you want. It is automatically selected CMS. Okay, so you can change it if you want, but it has to be at least 2 characters. Okay, so this is fine. And if you are going to use GitHub also, so if it's a software project, keep this connected. Okay, so keep this checkbox connected if it's a software project. If it's not a software project, let's say if you're trying to build a hardware project or in general कोई civil related project है, कुछ और है मतलब in general, तो you can uncheck this. Okay, but let's click next. And now it is asking you, because I have said I want to connect, it's a software project. It is telling me, do you want to use Bitbucket or GitHub, right? So we have seen already GitHub many times. So I am not selecting GitHub. You can use both. Okay, but I am not selecting GitHub. I am only selecting Bitbucket. Okay, So Bitbucket is my favorite, and there are some additional advantages when you use Jira along with Bitbucket, right? Because दोनों same company के है तो ज़्यादा compatible रहते हैं, right? So yes, so now I have selected only Bitbucket. So what this step is doing is you have created a project. At the same time, it is also creating a repository for you. ठीक है, मतलब आपको अलग से Bitbucket में जाके repository बनाने की जरूरत ही नहीं, जीरा ही आपको बना के दे देगा. ठीक है, सो जीरा क्या कर रहा है अभी, प्रोजेक्ट भी बना रहा है एंड रिपोजिटरी भी बना रहा है. ओके, सो लेट्स डू कनेक्ट. सो नाउ इट इज मेकिंग दिस रिपोजिटरी कॉलेज मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम. ओके, एंड इट सेज बन गया, राइट? सो लेट्स क्लिक व्यू and here we go. So this is Bitbucket. Okay, so now right now I am in Bitbucket and this is Jira, right? So let's see, that is it. Our project is set up. Let's go to project button, and this is how Jira looks like. Okay, okay, so we are fine with the free version, so we don't have much members, so we don't have to go for paid version. Okay, so 10 के अंदर लोग है तो paid में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, right? Rest everything is free, right? So now if you see, I have two things. I have Bitbucket. Bitbucket is exactly same like GitHub. Okay, only thing is the company name changes. बाकी जो अभी तक आपने जो भी सीखा है ना, बाकी सब कुछ सेम है. ठीक है, एंड समवे Bitbucket is better because GitHub में जब हम लोग खोलते हैं तो बहुत कचरा रहता है. Okay, so there are lots of things mentioned, but exactly clear cut idea नहीं देते कि क्या करना है, right? But you see over here, it is showing me both the options. First is git clone वाला option, और इसमें अंदर command भी clear दिया हुआ है कि how to clone it, right? So I just have to copy this, go to Visual Studio Code, paste it, and it will be cloned, right? Or else if you already have a repository, तो क्या करना है वो भी दिया हुआ है. ये देखो, git remote add. So these were the two methods if you remember, right? And if you already have a repository, then use this method, right? So this is why I like Bitbucket more than GitHub for my personal projects, right? Okay, so now this is done. So I have Bitbucket ready. I have my Jira ready. Okay, so now first let us go and look at the interface of Jira. Okay, so today is all about Jira. So let's look at the interface and how to use Jira, right? So if you look at this, there may be certain things that may be familiar, certain terms that may be familiar because I've just explained you the theory part. So what is the first step? Where should I go first now? Whenever I want to work on Scrum framework, what is the first thing that I do?
Backlog.
Yes, very good. So I will go to backlog. Okay, so you can see once you know the theory, you try to grasp better what is going to happen next, right? Now here, this is the interface. Okay, so you can see the sprint, right? Sprint is there, issue is there, right? So all these things are coming up. Perfect. And let me just close this. So in your window, it may be something like this. Okay, so now you may not be able to see Epic right now. Okay, but if you see on top, you will see the Epic panel is actually hidden by default, right? So in my case, I will just turn it on and this will come up. Okay, so आपके इसमें पहले नहीं रहा रहेगा क्योंकि वो बंद रहता है. So I have turned it on. So you can see on the left side, I have Epic. On the top side, I have Sprint, and on the bottom side, I have the actual backlog. Okay, so now let's start creating our project, right? So now who comes first? What is the first step? Can anybody tell me? Once I have reached the backlog, now who will start working now? Who is going to work now? Any idea?
Scrum Master.
No, not the Scrum Master. Who creates the epics?
Product owner.
Yes, so product owner creates the epics. So let's start creating the epic. So now creating the epic, you can either click over here, clear cut likha hua hai, create epic, okay, or you can click over here, okay, and here in the type you can select epic, okay. So कहीं से भी कर सकते हो आप, वो आपके ऊपर है कहाँ से करना है, right? So all of these things do the same thing, right? So I will say create epic, and here, so I am making a college management system, okay. So this is like the so like for example I am the product owner, so I will decide कि user ने क्या क्या मुझसे मांगा है, right? So what are the epics? So basically user को चाहिए एक college management system. So for a college management system, what all things is required? Okay, so let's see what all things are required. So the software must have a user management. Okay, so user management तो होना चाहिए, और क्या होना चाहिए? Admission management, right? Then teacher मैनेजमेंट का एक मॉड्यूल होना चाहिए, और क्या होना चाहिए? फीस तो चलो एडमिशन में आ जाएगा, और क्या है? अटेंडेंस, okay. So these are all epics I'm creating, okay. So there should be attendance management. What else is required? Marks, term test, marks management, right? और कुछ है? I think that is it. ठीक है, फिलहाल इतने पे काम करते. ठीक है, लेट्स सपोज प्रोडक्ट कस्टमर ने इतना ही चीज मांगा है और कुछ नहीं मांगा, ओके. सो दिस इज व्हाट द कस्टमर हैज रिक्वेस्टेड. सो प्रोडक्ट ओनर ने इतना बना दिया, ओके. नाउ इनसाइड दिस वी हैव टू स्टार्ट क्रिएटिंग इश्यूज, ओके, सॉरी स्टोरीज. सो एपिक बन गया, अब मुझे स्टोरीज बनाना है. सो दिस व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इज बेसिकली द प्लानिंग वर्क इज गोइंग ऑन, ओके. सो ये जो प्लानिंग स्टेप है ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है, बिकॉज इफ यू प्लान प्रॉपरली यू नो हाउ मच थिंग्स इज पेंडिंग, ओके. कितना काम करना है, कितना चीज बाकी रहेगा, राइट. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन दिस. सो आई एम गोइंग टू क्रिएट, सो यू कैन क्रिएट इट फ्रॉम हियर, स्टोरीज. इफ आई क्लिक ओवर हियर यू कैन सी स्टोरी का ऑप्शन है, स्टोरी सेलेक्ट करो, यहाँ पे क्रिएट कर दो, और एल्स यू कैन डायरेक्टली क्रिएट from here also, right? So when you create, you can see it is creating a story only by default, okay. So let's say for user management क्या क्या चाहिए, क्या लगेगा user? I need database modeling. So wait, so user needs, so whenever it's a story it should be something like user needs, okay. User wants, user needs, user would like to, right? So ऐसे statement होने चाहिए, right? So I will say user needs a way to register an account, okay. So this is my first story, okay. User management में एक तो registration का form होना चाहिए, then user needs to log in, then user needs to reset password, right? So these are the three things that I need for user management, ठीक है. फिलहाल इतना ही करते, ठीक है. Next let's go to admission, right? So I will remove this and go to admission. Let's create an issue. Admission में क्या लगेगा? User, or let's say, let's be more specific, student needs to fill admission form, right? Then student needs to pay fees, right? Then student needs to download admission form and student needs to download receipts, right? So these are going to be my user stories for admission management. ठीक है, so वैसे ही टीचर मैनेजमेंट, अटेंडेंस मैनेजमेंट, टर्म टेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, वो सब में आपको टास्क डालने हैं. So I'm not making all the tasks because this is just a demo, right? So I have created all the tasks, so you can see all the tasks are mentioned. Now this is not yet over, so this is just by noting down the task is not done. Okay, so you have to give details, right? So let me show you. I will give you one detail, right? So let's click on this. Okay, okay, so here you have to, so you can see whenever I click on any particular what do you say, element. Okay, so let me just drag it a little. So whenever I click on any particular element, it opens that element on the right side, right? So what I have to do is when I select, let's say I select this, so you can see right now it is not assigned to anyone. Okay, so the first point is right now nobody is doing it, so that's why you can see everything is in to do, right? So all these tasks are in to do. Second thing is there is something called as story point estimate. Okay, so what is the story point estimate? So now in Scrum framework, there are multiple metrics or multiple ways to find out whether your work is going on as per requirement or not. ठीक है, जैसे कि अभी एक टास्क है जिसको लगना चाहिए एक्चुअली एक दिन और आप लेके बैठे हो 2 हफ्ते से, right? That is wrong, right? So that to avoid such kind of a situation where some developers, what they do is they will just take a task and they just sit idle and they just waste the time, right? So to avoid such kind of a task, there are two ways to do this. Okay, one is you can tell how much time maximum you can take. Okay, so that is start date and end date you can give, or else you can give story point estimate. Okay, so story point estimate is nothing but it's like a complexity of the task. How complex is this particular task? Okay, so this I will say this task user management. Okay, जैसे कि user needs a way to register an account, so this requires some work, right? So I will say it takes 2 story points. Okay, so whenever you write any number over here, it should be always in Fibonacci series. Okay, so that it rises exponentially, right? So 1 2 3 4 मत देना, जो भी अपने फिबोनाची नंबर से 1 2 3 5 7 ऐसा वो देना, right? So उससे क्या होता है, if you look at the graph of Fibonacci, it is exponential. So when I say 7 means complicated है task, right? अगर मैंने 16 किया, 16 तो और भी complicated है, right? So वो number से पता चलता है कि कितना complicated task है, right? So now here I am saying the complication of this particular register account is actually 1 kafi hai. Okay, so it is a simple task, so 1 is enough, right? Similarly for this also I will give 1, right? But login should be very secure, so I will prefer 2, so there should be lots of validation वगैरह वगैरह सब लगेगा, right? Reset password 1. Now admission form ये सब simple है, so I will give 1. Paying fees is very dangerous, right? मतलब payment gateway से लेना देना है, so let's give it 3. Now download admission form 1. So these are all simple tasks. Download receipts, so I'm giving it 1. Okay, so this is how I have created my backlog. अभी actually बाकी tasks भी आने चाहिए, but वो सब मैंने किए नहीं है, right? Now second thing, next is if you click on any of these tasks, सिर्फ एक लाइन लिखने से काम नहीं बनता है. User needs a way to register an account, right? तो डेवलपर पूछेगा क्या क्या चाहिए फील्ड्स रजिस्ट्रेशन के टाइम, राइट? यूजर नेम चाहिए कि ईमेल चाहिए पासवर्ड रखना है कि ओटीपी से लॉग इन करना है, राइट? सो ऑल दीज questions will come in the developer's mind. So in the description you should provide proper statements as to what the customer needs. So customer needs what all things? Okay, so name or fields, name, email, password and mobile. Okay, and I will say validation and captcha required. So ये मैंने बोल दिया कि ये चीजें चाहिए. Okay, so this makes it a bit more clear, you know, what is required by the customer, right? So ऐसे आपको हर एक चीज के साथ करना है, right? So once all the things are done, so all the backlogs, the backlog is prepared. So similarly you have to do for admission, teacher, attendance, term test. So this requires some time. Okay, मतलब ये मतलब पूरा एक दिन का काम है समझो, ठीक है? दिस इज कॉल्ड द प्लानिंग फेज. ओके, सो प्लानिंग में से ही पता चल जाएगा कि कितना टाइम में आपका प्रोजेक्ट खत्म होगा. सो दिस इज हाउ यू फाइंड आउट हाउ मच टाइम इट विल टेक. ओके, सो वंस यू नो दैट ओके, सो इतना मेरा टास्क है, सो लेट्स सपोज इतना टास्क कंप्लीट करना है, राइट? सो नाउ वी विल स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन आवर project. Right now we have just planned it, so now is the entire agile process going to begin. Okay, so let's see how the process begins. Okay, so let's start. So first step after your backlog is ready, first step is to create a sprint. Okay, so as I told you, your entire project is based on sprints. Okay, so you have to continuously create sprint. एक sprint बनाओ उसके अंदर. So let's first create a sprint. So you can see a button called create sprint. So let's click that. So this creates a sprint. Okay, so you can see I have created a sprint. Okay, sorry, I already had a sprint. I did not had to create it. Delete. Okay, so I already had a sprint. So you can see I already have a sprint, only the task is not there. Okay, so there is no task. Sprint was already there. If you want to create multiple sprints, let's say you have divided a team into two. One is going to work on sprint 1, another is going to work on sprint 2. So that is also possible. You can have multiple sprints. Okay, but it's preferable for a small team to work on only one sprint. Okay, so I have created a sprint. Now you have to decide which task I have to do in this particular sprint. Okay, so let's say मुझे पहले मैं यूजर मैनेजमेंट खत्म कर देता हूँ, right? So let's take this, drag it and put it over here. Then I will also like to make the login form. ठीक है, and और क्या कर सकते हैं, और बस I think because we are starting new, so we are going to work on only two things first. Okay, so once you have decided कि इस वीक में क्या क्या करना है, तो वो मैंने बैकलॉग में से उठाया, स्प्रिंट में डाल दिया, राइट? एंड नाउ आई विल से स्टार्ट स्प्रिंट. ओके, नाउ बिफोर आई स्टार्ट स्प्रिंट, let's go to the board and see what is the message there. Okay, I am not click the start button. If I go to board, you will see you haven't started a sprint, right? That's why our board is empty. Okay, let's go to backlog now. So let's start this sprint and see what happens. Okay, so let's click on start. So whenever I click the start button, it asks me what is the duration of your sprint. मतलब ये जो sprint है वो कितने टाइम में खत्म होने वाला है. So I will say 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, कितने week? So I will say 1 week का काम है, 1 week में खत्म करना है, right? Is the goal to finish user registration and login. Okay, so this is my goal, right? Let's click start and there you go. So now your board is active. So you can see in your board there are two stories. Okay, so these stories are now going to be available for all the developers. Okay, now right now I am the only developer If you want to add more developers, that means your team members, you can see add people. So just click over here and provide the email address, and that's it. Okay, they will be added to your group. Okay, so like this you can add any number of members, only 10. Okay, or any sorry, 10 members you can add. After 10, agar usse zyada chahiye to you will have to buy it. Okay, so now once I have this, is it clear? Any doubts still here?
No, sir. Anybody having any query? Jana madam?
No, sir, no query.
Okay, okay. Okay. So till here, there are no queries. So very good. So now, once this is done, so now my sprint has started. So today my sprint has started. That is 9/9. So it should end by next week. Okay, next week's after 7 days, it should end. Okay. So at that time, another meeting, and you will have to find out whether have you completed a particular task or not. Okay. So now, what next? Okay, so what next is, next in your developers panel. So now product owner का काम खत्म, product owner ने user story बना दिया, काम हो गया. Now the developer comes in. So for the developer also, this panel will be visible, right? So what the developer does is he comes in, clicks on this. Okay, so let's say he looks at this. Okay, so user needs a way to register an account, or ye chahiye. Okay, so yeah, I can do. So what he will do is he will assign it to himself. So in this case, I will click and assign it to myself. Okay, so now this particular task is assigned to me. You can see my photo is coming. That means this particular task is assigned to me, and I will take this and put it in progress. Okay, so अब मेरा ये काम चालू हो गया है, ये project का काम चालू हो गया है. Once I put over here, then I go and start work on my code. Okay, so let's now move on to Bitbucket and clone this and start working on the project. Okay, so so this is my empty repository. So let's copy this, open my Visual Studio Code. I will open a new folder and let's call it College Management System, right? And I will select this folder. So this is a completely empty folder. I will open the terminal, और जो मैंने command वहां से copy किया था, let's copy it again, copy and paste it. Okay, and here, because I want to do it inside this folder only, so I will do dot at the end. Okay, and press enter, and it will say, okay, so you have cloned a empty repository. That is what it is saying. Obviously uske andar kuch tha nahi, fresh banaya hai, right? So now let's start working on the project. So what I want is, I want to work on register page, right? Registration page pe work karna hai. So I will say register.html. Okay, I'm not working on an actual project. I'm just doing some dummy code. Okay. Okay, so I'm just adding this much, nothing much. Now so let's suppose this is it. This is my code, final registration form ready, sub database sub connect ho gaya. Okay, virtually connect ho gaya hai, samjho. Okay, I'm not writing the entire code, but once it is done, I will do git add git commit -m register page complete. Okay, done. So this finishes my particular project. Now I can do git push. And it is now live on Bitbucket. So if I refresh, So you can see it is exactly the same principle, whether it is Bitbucket, whether it is GitHub, whether it is GitLab, only the URL changes. Rest every command that we learned is the same. Okay. So ये देखो register.html आ गया, right? So once this is done, that means now I have, so as a developer, I have completed my task. So I will move it. So this is now next step is happening after, let's say, 5 days. Okay. So 5 दिन लगा मुझे ये complete करने के लिए, and after that I moved it to done. Okay. So this issue is now finished. Okay. Now this doesn't look like interesting, right? Because what if I forget to shift it, right? मतलब मैं यहाँ से यहाँ लेके आने भूल गया, तो क्या, right? So that is a big issue. So it happens because when you're working on a project, it is possible that you forget to bring it over here or mark it as done, right? So why this is important is because when you work on such project, ये करना ही सबसे important है, because तो ही जो स्क्रम मास्टर है उसको समझ में आएगा कि प्रोजेक्ट कैसा चल रहा है. Okay, so if you do not update this, the entire scrum mechanism goes flop, right? So the scrum master will find a way to make a compulsion, right? So now this is one way of doing it. This is the manual way of doing it. Okay, so any issues till now of how this manually this can be done? किसी को कोई डाउट है?
Sir, no queries in the chat box.
Okay, okay, ठीक है. So now let's look at the automated way. Okay, so there is a feature in Jira, that is automation. Okay, now this is why Jira is very famous. That is because of its automation, right? So now how to get this automation to work? Okay, so the way this works is, so now the first thing that you do is, first you have to set up the automation. Okay, so how to set up the automation? You can see on top there is a automation button, right? So just click on that and go on manage automation rules, right? So when you go to that, you will see this are all the rules, right? Right now there are no rules. Now if you go to library, Jira has provided you with some default automation rules. Okay, and these are in general used by everyone. That's why these are the these rules are already created for you, but it is not applied. You have to apply it. Okay, so whichever you want, you have to apply. So all are nicely documented. So you can see the first rule is, when all stories are completed, then close the epic. Okay, so common sense, अगर जितने भी स्टोरीज है वो सब डेवलपर ने कंप्लीट कर दिया, तो ऑटोमेटिकली एपिक भी कंप्लीट होना चाहिए, मैन्युअली कंप्लीट करने की जरूरत नहीं, राइट? सो दिस शुड बी एक्टिवेटेड, राइट? सो आई विल जस्ट क्लिक एंड आई विल से टर्न इट ऑन, राइट? सो दिस you can see this is now on. Let's go to next. When epic is completed, then close all stories. उल्टा भी होना चाहिए, अगर एपिक कंप्लीट हुआ तो बाकी सब भी तो कंप्लीट होना चाहिए, राइट? सो आई विल क्लिक दिस एंड क्लिक ऑन टर्न इट ऑन, राइट? देन अगेन गो टू लाइब्रेरी. Then next, when the issue is transitioned, okay, so now what is happening? If I move the issue from to do to in progress, it is not assigned to anyone, right? मतलब वो ऑटोमेटिकली असाइन होना चाहिए था, वो नहीं हो रहा है. तो ये करने से क्या होगा, जो भी उसको ड्रैग करता है ना, उसको वो असाइन हो जाएगा टास्क. ओके, सो आई विल एनेबल दिस ऑल्सो. लेट्स गो टू लाइब्रेरी अगेन. देन देर इज डुप्लीकेट इश्यूज, ये नहीं चाहिए. सो इफ यू वांट यू कैन एनेबल वॉट एवर यू वांट, बट आई एम नॉट एनेबलिंग दिस. देन दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. व्हेन ऑल सब टास्क आर डन, मूव द पेरेंट ऑल्सो टू डन. ओके, सो सब टास्क खत्म हुआ तो पेरेंट, उसका जो भी पेरेंट है वो भी डन होना चाहिए, राइट? सो लेट्स सेलेक्ट दिस एंड टर्न इट ऑन. लेट्स गो टू लाइब्रेरी. सिमिलरली उल्टा भी होना चाहिए, राइट? सो ये वाला भी ऑन कर देता हूँ, टर्न इट ऑन. सो बाकी ये दोनों ठीक है, This I will skip for the time being. Then very important is DevOps rules. Okay, so in DevOps rules, you can see whenever a user or whenever a developer commits a particular code, it should go into in progress. मतलब to do से in progress में जाना चाहिए. So I need all these three. ये तीनों जो है नीचे है वो सब तीनों चाहिए मुझे. Okay. So second one is when a branch is created. So what is this? I will explain you with a demo. At that time you will understand. So when a branch is created, then move the issue to in progress. Okay. So let me select that also. Turn it on. And once the project is complete and the pull request is merged. So what is a pull request? That also I will show you. So let's enable this also. So turn it on. Okay. So now my automation is done. Okay. So let's go back to college management system and I am in the board. Okay. So this task I have manually completed it. Okay. So now look at how I will complete the second task. Okay. So let's see the real way of completing a task in Jira. Okay. So the first, so all the developers have logged in. Okay. And there will be many items in the to do. सब लोग एक एक उठा लेते, right? So वो कैसे उठाते वो दिखाता हूँ मैं. Okay. So you just click on. So when I log in, I see this task is to do. That means pending. So I will click on this, right? And here I will say the first step is I will say create a branch. Okay. So yeah, the method I'm going to show you is the automated way. Okay. So first step is to create a branch. So I will create a branch. It will go to the Bitbucket site. Okay. So it is going to Bitbucket site. Select the proper repository. Okay. Galat repository select mat karna. So I have, this is my correct repository. If you remember, so college-management-system. So this was the repository. And after selecting this, I will select what is the type of feature that you're adding. Is it a bug fix? Is it a feature? It's a hot fix, release, kya hai? So it's a feature. Okay. It's a new feature I'm trying to add. Feature ठीक है. And बाकी ये जो भी है वो वैसे ही रहने दो, कुछ मत करो. Okay. And create. As soon as you do that, so a branch is created. Now let's come over here and see what happens. Can you see? Automatically ये यहाँ से to do में से इधर आ गया. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे automatic आ गया. This is what has happened when I clicked on this and enabled automation. So all this is happening automatically. और जो Scrum Master रहता है ना, उसके अंदर ये सब दिखते रहता है कि अभी ये यूजर ने ये काम चालू किया है, ये यूजर ने ये काम खत्म किया, right? So this is happening, right? So now next, so once I get this, I have created a branch. Then what I will do is immediately it shows me what is the next step. So just copy this and come to your GitHub, sorry, your Visual Studio Code and paste this. Okay. So just try if it works. If it doesn't work, so this and does not work over here in PowerShell, you can either change the this to some other terminal or you can paste it separately. Okay. So you can paste it one by one. You first run git fetch. Okay. Fetch ho gaya. You can see our new branch is now fetched. Now again, I will paste this command and I will do the remaining part and hata do. Git fetch के बाद वाला command run करो. Okay. So once I run this, now you can see right now I am on which branch? Feature CMS 7 user needs to log in. ये वाले branch में. Okay. So this is my branch. I am now working on a sub branch. Okay. So this way of writing code is very important. You know why? Because you are not actually working on the master. You are working on sub branches. इससे क्या होता है? Master का code खराब नहीं होगा. Okay. So let me show you how you write the code in that. Okay. So let's say मुझे login form बनाना है. So I will create a new file. Okay. So I've created login.html file and here let's say login and here I will say h1 लॉगिन फॉर्म। ओके, सिर्फ मैंने ऐसे ही टेक्स्ट डाल दिया एंड लेट्स सपोज मेरा प्रोजेक्ट रेडी। ओके, सो अगेन I am not completing the entire project. I am just giving you a hint and as how to use this feature. Okay, so ये मेरा समझो कि मेरा login form ready हो गया, everything is working. So now what I will do, I will commit git add git commit -m and I will say क्या है अपना commit login form done. Okay, that is done. Now I will push whatever is my content. I will push it. Okay, so let's say git push. Okay, done. So now you see I have not pushed the data on the master. I have pushed it there on the feature branch. Okay, so I'm not pushing in the master. This is one important thing to note. Now let's come back over here and let's go to branches. Okay, so this is the code, this is the source code. If you see right now I don't have login जो पेज बनाया था वो अभी नहीं है. क्यों नहीं है? Even though I have pushed it, it is still not there. Why it is not there? Because I have done it in a branch, not in the master. Okay, master में नहीं है. You can see feature branch. So अगर इसको select करूंगा ना तो वहां पे देखो login है, right? But अभी ये login फीचर ब्रांच में से मास्टर में कैसे आएगा? दैट इज व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न. ओके, सो नाउ वी आर ऑन मास्टर. मास्टर में तो है नहीं, सो जस्ट गो टू ब्रांचेस. सो दिस इज हाउ द स्क्रम मास्टर ऑपरेट्स. सो स्क्रम मास्टर सीज दैट, सो स्क्रम मास्टर नहीं, सॉरी, अभी डेवलपर ही काम कर रहे हैं. सो व्हाट द डेवलपर डज, उसका पुश पुल हो गया, सॉरी पुश हो गया, यहाँ पे आ गया. सो नाउ यू विल सी अ न्यू ऑप्शन ओवर हियर to create a pull request. Okay, so what is this pull request? So pull request is nothing but you are telling the scrum master that मेरा काम हो गया है. Now you may review the code and merge it with the master. Okay, अगर सही है तो merge करो, नहीं तो disapprove करो. Okay, so I will say create a pull request. Right, so login form done. Please review. Okay, so मैंने एक मैसेज डाल दिया, please review and delete the current branch. Okay, so pull request करके इसकी फिर जरूरत नहीं है. So I will delete that and click create pull request. You can also put who should review the code. Okay, so now this is done. तो आपका as a developer आपका काम हो गया. Now the scrum master logs in. Okay, now इधर क्या हो रहा है? I am only the scrum master and I am only the developer. That's why everything is visible to me. Okay, so but in a paid software the scrum master will have option to approve and merge, but the developer will not have option to approve and merge. Okay, तो उनके पास वो access नहीं रहता है ये वाला, right? But because it's a free account, इसमें सब equal है. There is no scrum master, there is no this thing developer, सब लोग एक ही है, right? So हम लोग को वर्चुअली अंडरस्टैंड मतलब वर्चुअली डिवाइड करना पड़ेगा रूल को. ओके, सो नाउ लेट्स सपोज आई एम द स्क्रम मास्टर नाउ. सो नाउ आई विल सी. ओके, सो ये इसने किया है, ये एक पेज बनाया है. ओके, एवरीथिंग इज राइट. सो नाउ ठीक है, दिस कोड इज ओके, आई विल अप्रूव एंड आई विल से मर्ज. ओके, सो व्हेन आई डू मर्ज आई विल से this issue is or this story is complete. Okay, so I am saying this story is complete and click on merge. So immediately if I come over here, just wait and you will see what happens. Okay, sometimes it happens immediately. If it doesn't happen, then we can refresh it obviously. So कभी कभी अगर नहीं हुआ तो एक बार रिफ्रेश कर लेना. ठीक है, so immediately after refreshing you see automatically ये वाला टास्क कंप्लीट हो गया, डन पे चले गया. सो इधर आपने कुछ नहीं किया, मतलब एज अ स्क्रम मास्टर यू आर ओनली रिव्यूइंग कोड एंड मर्जिंग इट. एज सुन एज यू मर्ज इट वो इशू डन पे चले गया. सो यू कैन सी हाउ द एंटायर प्रोसेस इज वर्किंग, राइट? सो दिस इज हाउ in industries project is done. Okay, so after that week is complete or all the tasks for the day or is complete, you will say complete the sprint. Okay, you can see 4 days are still remaining. मतलब ये तो हम लोगों ने ऐसे ही टाइम पास किया, बट एक्चुअल में this will show how many days are remaining to complete these tasks. Okay, so यहाँ पे एक इधर आते रहेगा, right? So let's suppose I have finished my task for today or this week. I will say complete the sprint. Okay, so I have done complete the sprint, and that's it. Okay, so from this epic, 2 tasks are complete. You can see a progress bar also. Okay, and now I will, so अभी इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि काम खत्म हो गया, right? इसका मतलब सिर्फ यही हुआ कि आपका एक sprint खत्म हुआ. Now what you will do, you can see another sprint has automatically opened, sprint 2, right? Now here you will, your team members will come in the next morning. You will say, okay, so let's start with this. Let's start with this, and let's start with this. Okay, so ये 3, and let's start the sprint. And I will say 3 tasks है, so let's say 2 week लगेगा, right? And click on start. And now you can see again, I'm getting my task. So same process again continue होता है, right? So again you will select, create a branch. वो branch आपके PC में checkout होगा. You will write the code, test it, everything is working. Create a pull request, and Scrum Master उसको merge कर देगा और वो part done पे आ जाएगा. So this is how project management works in Jira. Okay, so now finally, once your project is done, so there is one more thing you can do. That is, so if you remember in the mini project and major project, I have told you, you have to create Gantt charts. Okay, now in Jira itself, you can create Gantt charts. Okay, so let me show you. So you can go to roadmaps. So यहाँ पे हम लोग गए नहीं अभी तक. So if you click on roadmaps, you will see this is basically generating Gantt charts. Okay, so if you open this, you can see my Gantt chart is getting prepared automatically. Okay, so मतलब जैसे जैसे आप काम कर रहे हो उसके हिसाब से Gantt chart बनते जा रहा है. Okay, so this is a good thing. So at the end, you can open all these things. So ये चीज अभी चालू हुआ है काम. So once this entire Gantt chart is over, so you can see in the month of September क्या काम हुआ, in the month of October kya kaam hua, right? So all these things, and you can even plan it. Okay, so let's say I want to finish epic 1 by, let's say, this date. Okay, you want to finish epic 2. Okay, let's say I want to finish this by this duration. Okay, ऐसा कुछ, something like this. Okay, so अभी sprint भी उसके हिसाब से चालू करना पड़ेगा. So वो सब set करना पड़ता है. So you can see I can change. Let's suppose I do this. Okay, so like this you can start. So let's say, okay, so you can select the dates, कितना time लगेगा वगैरह वगैरह, right? So this is how you can create your Gantt charts in Jira directly. Okay, so जो मैंने Excel में बताया था वो, that was for, you know, so that you get a basic idea how you, what all points you have to keep in mind. Now the same thing you have to copy on over here. Okay, so that is the actual this is the Gantt chart that you have to submit during your project reports. Okay, so ये अभी इसको export कैसे करेंगे, ये जो Gantt chart बनाया इसको export कैसे करेंगे? So all you have to do is, there is an export button over here. Just click over here, and it generates or basically gives you the complete Gantt chart image. Okay, so you just click on export and it gives you an image. Okay, so I will save it, and if I open it, you will see my Gantt chart, right? This you can directly include in your project, right? So this is required in all the project reports that you are going to submit. Okay, okay, any doubts?
Ma'am, any doubts?
No, sir. No, sir. Till now.
Okay, so
Very
there is one from, sir, please show repository you hosted before. I didn't understand. Who is this? Siddiqui, what is your question?
So there is one query. What is a Slack?
What is a Slack? Okay, Slack is basically this is Slack. Okay, so Slack is like, you can say WhatsApp, but for developers. Okay, so you can so in companies they don't use emails or WhatsApp to chat. Okay, so they use Slack. So Slack is mainly used inside communications. Okay, developer to developer communication. So they can make a room and they can directly discuss project related queries or anything. Okay, मतलब मुझे अभी product owner से पूछना है कि ये चीज मुझे समझा नहीं, I can ask in Slack. Okay, so जो calling वॉलिंग है वो सब ऑप्शन नहीं रहता है when you, because see product owner सब senior डेवलपर्स रहेंगे, सो उनसे आप डायरेक्टली बात करने का आपको टाइम मिलेगा नहीं. सो यू विल जस्ट पुट सम मैसेज कि ये चीज समझ में नहीं आया एंड दे विल रिप्लाई इट वेन एवर दे get time. Okay, so that is how these things work. So in industries they don't use emails per se. Okay, directly emails इतना यूज नहीं करते, डायरेक्टली स्लैक पे ही सब काम होता है. Okay, so I think that's it from my side.
सर
Yes.
की वो आपने बोला था ना CMS जो की है वो कब पूछा
हाँ,
नहीं?
एक्चुअली CMS की का कैसा है, सो एक्चुअली so when you do commit message na, so when I do commit message you have to write the key over here. Okay, CMS 7 let's say fixed. Okay, so ऐसा आप लिखोगे ना तो वो लिंक हो जाता है. Okay, so basically let's say ये story is dependent, like for example two people are working on a same on different stories. एक यूजर रजिस्ट्रेशन फॉर्म पे वर्क कर रहा है और एक वर्क कर रहा है लॉगिन फॉर्म पे. ओके, बट लॉगिन फॉर्म तभी बनेगा जब रजिस्ट्रेशन फॉर्म बनेगा, राइट? सो व्हाट आई विल डू आफ्टर माय रजिस्ट्रेशन फॉर्म इज डन, in the comment I will say now you can start working on CMS 8. Okay, so sorry, CMS 7, sorry, CMS 7 is login form, right? So now you can start working on CMS 7, ऐसा आप बोल सकते हो, right? Other than that, previously what used to happen is for this automation to work properly you had to give this key. comment के अंदर ये की ने अगर आपने नहीं दिया ना तो वो ऑटोमेशन जो मैंने दिखाया ना अभी, जो ऑटोमेटिक यहाँ से वहां टास्क अपने आप जा रहा है, वो नहीं होता था. बट नाउ इट इज नो लॉन्गर रिक्वायर्ड. इफ यू डू गिटहब में भी सेम चीज होता है, बट उसके लिए आपको गिटहब में भी जो इश्यू नंबर है वो देना ही पड़ता है, नहीं तो नहीं होगा. ओके, so that is the use of this, but in Jira it's not that required. But whenever you want to connect two stories together you can mention it over here and it gets connected inside. मतलब वहां पे आपको कमेंट में दिखेगा कि ये चीज रिजॉल्व हो गया है, तो सामने वाले डेवलपर को पता चल जाए कि नाउ आई कैन स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन दिस. ओके,
सर एंड आपने जो गिटहब में जो
हाँ 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 हाँ, यस. सो लेट्स सी वेदर इट इज लाइव. अरे let me just bring this on site. Let's go to GitHub. कौन सा था, वर्कशॉप 2 था क्या? हाँ, वर्कशॉप 2 ही था ना. settings, let's go to pages and let's open this and there you go. Okay, so now you have your website. मतलब यहाँ पे आप जो चाहिए वो वेबसाइट आप होस्ट कर सकते हो, but it has to be static. Okay, that means you can have images, you can have videos, you can have YouTube videos, CSS style, JavaScript, calculator बना सकते हो या कोई और छोटे मोटे सॉफ्टवेयर बना सकते हो. Everything is possible. In fact, I think I have my, let me show you some designs that I have created. Yeah, these are ऐसे थोड़ा time pass projects है. So these you can see during the web development course we have made this. So ऐसी sample pages है जो बनाए. So all these pages are actually hosted. Okay, so in WordPress, sorry, WordPress nahi, GitHub, right? You can see all these are, the links are GitHub, right? So you can see GitHub है सब कुछ, right? So responsive है ये. So you can see automatically it is responsive. All this you can make. So नीचे जाओगे तो
सर होस्टिंग मतलब हम सर्च करेंगे तो वो दिखता है क्या, ऐसा मतलब?
जैसे कि आपको आपका प्रोफाइल पेज होस्ट करना है, राइट? मतलब आपको आपका आपका खुद का प्रोफाइल पेज बना के उसको होस्ट करना है. सो यू कैन डू इट ओवर हियर. ओके, सो आपको ऐसा एक एड्रेस मिल जाएगा और वहां पे आपका वेबसाइट होस्टेड रहेगा. यहाँ पे आप आपका फोटो, आपका बाकी डिटेल्स वगैरह सब डाल सकते हो. ओके, तो बेसिक
स्टूडियो डाउनलोड करना है या फिर कोड ब्लॉक्स में हो जाएगा?
क्या
जो हम लोग कोडिंग करते हैं तो अभी जो प्रोजेक्ट के लिए
you can do it in Notepad also, but I would prefer always use Visual Studio Code because it has extensions for almost everything. Okay, सारे languages, Python हो, C Sharp हो, Java हो, किसी के लिए हो, you learn one very well instead of learning one IDE for each. ठीक है, Java के लिए Eclipse करोगे, फिर Python के लिए PyCharm करोगे, ऐसा नहीं. So learn one very well. So this is best. And in fact, I have not shown you this part. This is a wonderful feature that is GitHub. Sorry, Git integration is directly there in Visual Studio Code itself directly. Okay. So अगर आप समझो मैंने यहाँ पे कोई changes किए ना, let's say I do 2 and if I save, okay, you can see immediately वो बताता है कि ये फाइल चेंज हुआ है. आपको git status भी करने की जरूरत नहीं, right? And if you open this, it will show you, आपको git log भी करने की जरूरत नहीं. It will show you how many commits have been done. Okay, so let me show, open you. So ये commit में क्या हुआ था, ये commit में क्या हुआ था, right? So all this you can see. And in fact over here you can also see changes also. जो git diff करते हैं ना, वो भी आपको clearly दिखता है. Okay, so let me show you one. Can you see how well it gives you the difference? Instead of actually doing git diff in command line, Visual Studio gives you this feature where it shows you कि अभी क्या है, मतलब अभी क्या है और पहले क्या था, right? So it's so wonderful, this software, Visual Studio Code. It works very well. So you should try this this software rather than using any other software. Yeah, also Emmet is there. That is very true. Emmet is such a wonderful software. Sublime में वो अलग से install करना पड़ता है, but यहाँ पे by default है. Okay, that is a good thing. Okay, so this course that was of 5 days, so it is over. As such, today is the last day because whatever I had to cover, I have covered it. So any if you want the other topics to be covered, that is the GitHub collaborator part, जो 2 topic है वो actually advanced topics है, वो अगर चाहिए तो we will keep it on Monday if required. Otherwise the course is over. If you have any queries you can ask me. किसी को कुछ है तो सलीक
जीरा आप देने वाले थे, पोस्ट करना है चैट बॉक्स में.
क्या क्या क्या?
जीरा की लिंक.
जीरा का लिंक. Okay, Jira is basically Altacian product. So you just, even if you search Altacian, you will get it, but still I will just paste it over here. Okay, so you can go over there and go to products, select Jira and sign up. Okay, Salik is asking, can we make AJAX request if we use whole? See, you can do anything. You can do React app, you can do Vue.js app, pure JavaScript app. Any app will do which is client side related. It should be client side. It should not involve a server side. Okay. सो कोई भी ऐप बना सकते हैं आप, स्टैटिक होना चाहिए, बस इतना ही। मतलब वो फाइल्स, उसके अंदर जो फाइल्स है वो स्क्रिप्टेड नहीं होना चाहिए। दैट मीन्स पीएचपी या एएसपी वगैरह नहीं होना चाहिए, बस इतना ही है। ओके, सो एनी अदर क्वेरीज?
सर गूगल एडसेंस को लिंक कर सकते हैं क्या उसमें?
हाँ, क्यों नहीं, एनीथिंग एनीथिंग विल डू। गूगल एडसेंस भी लिंक कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज गूगल एडसेंस इज व्हाट, जावास्क्रिप्ट, सो दैट आल्सो यू कैन लिंक।
सर फिर ट्रैफिक मैनेजमेंट और वो फीड्स में आएगा क्या, गूगल का फीड्स में सर्च करने पर?
हाँ आएगा, क्यों नहीं आएगा। यू हैव टू सबमिट इट टू गूगल। ओके, गूगल पर सबमिट, गूगल यूआरएल क्रॉलर करके वेबसाइट है ना, वहां पे आप अपना साइट को सबमिट करो, इट विल क्रॉल एंड देन आफ्टर लेट्स से फ्यू वन और 2 weeks इट विल कम इन गूगल। ओके, मतलब एक बार सबमिट तो करना पड़ेगा, कुछ टाइम में कोई और सबमिट कर लेगा, बट एक बार सबमिट कर दिया तो फिर वो रहता है। एनी अदर क्वेरीज?
सर
यस।
सर ये जो हम गैन चार्ट बनाते हैं उसमें ऐसा ही रहता है ना कि स्टोरीज जो भी है हम वीक बाय वीक उसका हमें रिपोर्ट बनाना है जो
हाँ,
हम लिखते हैं। हाँ ठीक है, ओके सर।
सो बेसिकली आपको पहले एपिक्स बनाने हैं, उसके अंदर यू हैव टू डिवाइड दैट एपिक इनटू स्मॉल स्मॉल स्टोरीज। ठीक है, मतलब अगर आपने डायरेक्ट सिर्फ यूजर मैनेजमेंट ही रखा तो यूजर मैनेजमेंट तो बहुत बड़ा चीज है, उसके अंदर बहुत कुछ हो सकता है, राइट। तो वो उसको भी छोटे छोटे टास्क में डिवाइड करना है। ओके, एंड इनफैक्ट एक्चुअल डेवलपर्स व्हाट दे डू, स्टोरीज को फर्दर टास्क में डिवाइड करते हैं। वो तो मैंने पार्ट दिखाया नहीं, बट यू कैन क्लिक ऑन एनी वन ऑफ देम and you can see there is an option, add child issues. Okay, so you can select this and you can add database modeling and then form design, validation. ठीक है, सो ये एक स्टोरी कंप्लीट करने के लिए ये 3 चीज मुझे कंप्लीट करना पड़ेगा, राइट। सो दैट इज हाउ यू do your project. So now if I go to board, okay, so now you cannot see those things over here. Okay, so you can actually do what, you can just come over here, group by and show subtask. Okay, तो अभी शायद से वो मेरे स्प्रिंट में है ही नहीं, इसके लिए नहीं दिख रहा है। कहाँ पे डाला मैंने, राइट, आई थिंक मैंने कहीं और डाला है, कौन से इशू में डाला भी याद नहीं। ठीक है, एनीवे, सो यू गॉट माय पॉइंट, राइट। सो बेसिकली आपको एपिक बनाना है, फिर स्टोरीज बनाने हैं, और स्टोरीज के अंदर टास्क बनाना है इफ पॉसिबल। ओके, सो टास्क भी बनाओगे तो और बेटर आपका रहता है, बट प्रॉब्लम है कि टास्क जो है वो ये चार्ट में, रोड मैप में नहीं दिखता। इट ओनली शोज यू epics and stories, it doesn't show you सब टास्क नहीं दिखता है। ओके, सो even if you don't write it, it's fine for us for the time being, but when you go to industry आपको लिखना ही पड़ेगा, there is no option. Okay, any other doubts?
तो सर अभी जो आपने हमें प्रोजेक्ट दिया है उसके लिए हम लोग अगर स्टोरीज तक बनाए तो भी चलेगा ना?
चलेगा चलेगा।
ओके सर, थैंक यू।
ठीक है, आई
Have any
थिंक
queries?
No, sir. No queries.
okay, that's it. Thank you everyone.